Hi guys, and welcome to my channel where I talk about all things Harry Potter related. Today's video is part of a Q&A segment of the channel where I answer Harry Potter related questions. Today's question is, could Draco Malfoy and Harry Potter have been friends at Hogwarts if perhaps their initial meeting went by a little differently? I actually think they could have been, yes, but I'm going to give you 5 reasons as to why. Number 1. Draco initially wants to be friends with Harry. Although we know Draco Malfoy for being the character who aimed to make Harry's life at Hogwarts as miserable as possible, such as going out of his way to get Harry into trouble and potentially kicked out of school. Initially, Draco Malfoy wanted to be friends with Harry Potter. If we first look at when Draco meets Harry, they're getting fitted for school robes at Madame Malkin's shop in Diagon Alley. It's worth noting that at this point, Malfoy doesn't know who he is, and I think we can see that he treats him as one of his peers. Later, when Draco actually learns who Harry is, he tries to discourage Harry from being friends with those lower than him and offers him his hand in friendship. It's only after Harry rejects his offer, and understandably so, does Draco set out to make Harry regret his decision. While Draco's offer of friendship comes across as incredibly mean, and it was, let's look at it from Draco's perspective. If we think of it from Draco's perspective, he considers Harry's reputation to be on the same level as his. In his mind, they would have been perfect peers. Look at it from his perspective. I think we can see how he essentially felt snubbed. I also think it's important to examine Draco's upbringing. This brings us to point number 2. Draco's upbringing was filled with bigotry and prejudice. When Draco first appears in the books, he expresses his disdain for anyone that isn't a pureblood. He comes from a wealthy family, which has for centuries been one of the wealthiest and most prestigious families in the wizarding world. He had limited contact with non-pureblood families, and the pride of coming from a pureblood family was instilled in him from early on. And it's important to note that Draco doesn't know his views are prejudiced because his family raised him to believe these views are the norm. I think that a lot of Draco's slurs against Muggleborns come from a place of ignorance rather than a place of hatred. Number 3. Draco is never recognized for being a rather good wizard himself. And I think this plays a factor in how Draco perceives Harry. Harry's always recognized by other students and professors for his success. From his accomplishments as a student to winning Quidditch matches, Harry's always in the spotlight. But in comparison, if we look at Draco, he's actually a rather good student too. In his 5th year at Hogwarts, Draco is chosen as a prefect for Slytherin. To be a prefect, you have to have been a talented wizard and have received excellent grades. I think it's fair to say that Draco doesn't receive the same recognition that Harry does. I think a big part of Draco's efforts to take down Harry was rooted in jealousy. Number 4. Draco hesitates when identifying Harry at Malfoy Manor. A major point for me that shows that Draco and Harry could have been friends at Hogwarts is that Draco hesitates when identifying Harry at Malfoy Manor. In the Deathly Hallows, the Snatchers capture Harry, Ron, and Hermione and bring them straight to Malfoy Manor. However, due to Harry's disguised face, thanks to Hermione's stinging jinx, no one can identify him. One word from Draco would seal his fate. If the Malfoys catch Harry Potter, it would put the family back in favor with Lord Voldemort. But Draco doesn't give Harry Potter up, and he totally knew it was him. Number 5. Harry risks his own life to save Draco from the Fiendfire. Another point that shows that Harry and Draco could have been friends is that Harry risks his own life to save Draco from the fire. In the Deathly Hallows, when Harry, Ron, and Hermione go to the Room of Requirements to destroy the Horcruxes, they're confronted by Draco Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle. A struggle ensues. Crabbe uses a fire curse, which ends up setting the room on fire. Harry ends up risking his own life to save Malfoy from the burning room. Looking back at the series, I think that Malfoy and Harry really just started things off on the wrong foot. Malfoy was a product of his upbringing and felt like Potter disrespected him by not being friends. Perhaps if Malfoy worded his initial offer of friendship differently, they actually could have turned out to be friends, or at the very least had mutual respect for each other as competitors. I'd be absolutely curious to hear what you guys think. Please do let me know in the comments. As always, feel free to let me know if there's any specific topics you would like me to cover in an upcoming video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one, where I'm going to dive into Dumbledore's timeline leading up to the events of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Stay tuned.